Hey everyone! Bitcoin's taking another dip, and it looks like we just shaved off 100 billion in market cap from the crypto world. Bitcoin's now tumbling below $83,000. How much further can it fall, and what happens if it breaks that support? Today's video is all about that, along with diving into Trump's trade war tariffs and the state of the economy. This week's huge for crypto. While everyone else was busy yakking about random stuff, the office of the comptroller of the currency just switched up some rules big time. Check it. US banks can now be validators on any public network. That means any bank like JP Morgan or Wells Fargo can run nodes to support networks like Ethereum, Polkadot, basically any blockchain out there. Plus, banks can now custody crypto for their customers and even hold stablecoins. This has never been allowed in the American financial system until today. The official letter from the OCC just dropped, and it goes like this. They're rescinding Interpretive Letter 1179 from back on November 18th, 2021. That letter confirmed that crypto asset custody, distributed ledger, and stablecoin activities, what they call crypto asset activities, are all now cool. The OCC even issued 3 interpretive letters back in 2020 and early 2021 about whether national banks and federal savings associations could jump into crypto asset activities. No matter what those older letters said, here's what's up today. They've updated their opinion based on new experience and expertise in crypto asset activities. That rescission is all about cutting red tape, pushing responsible innovation, and boosting transparency. So now, US banks can totally be validators on public networks, custody crypto for customers, and hold stablecoins, and that's a giant first for America. But why is crypto still crashing after all this groundbreaking news, right? David Sachs is on it, weighing in on Bitcoin. Listen to this quick 60-second clip.
Yeah, we're not picking favorites, obviously, except I will say this. We do think Bitcoin is special, and I can get into the reasons
explain why. That's a great thing, yeah.
Well, I mean, Bitcoin's the original cryptocurrency. It's the first one. It's the only one that doesn't have an issuer, right? It's very decentralized. It's, in crypto, they call this the Immaculate Conception. We don't really know how it got here. We don't know who Satoshi is. It's almost mystical, you would say.
Yes.
It's the most valuable one. It has a $2 trillion market cap, and it's the most secure. It's never been hacked, right? So we're now, over 15 years into this journey, and there's been a lot of people who've been skeptical along the way, and there's been a lot of ups and downs. But here it is. I mean, I remember back in 2011, I think it's the first time I bought a Bitcoin. I think it was at $120. Now it's at $90,000. Again, there have been all sorts of wild swings along the way, but this thing just keeps chugging along. And you can think of that $2 trillion market cap as like a $2 trillion bug bounty. If there was a way to hack this, there's every incentive in the world. And by hack, I mean like to double spend, create basically a counterfeit Bitcoin, I guess would be the way for people to think about it. And
it is a miracle it hasn't been compromised. I think we can all say that.
Well, I don't know if it's a miracle. I think it's exceptional design.
Think about it. More than 15 years in, and even with all the wild ups and downs, Bitcoin's still chugging along. I remember back in 2011, I first copped some Bitcoin at about 120. Now look, you're seeing it swing all the way near 90,000. That 2 trillion market cap is like a 2 trillion bounty that no hacker in their right mind would mess with, cause the incentive to double spend or counterfeit Bitcoin is off the charts. I mean, it's not a miracle exactly, it's just exceptional design. Back in the early days, Bitcoin was shunned, seen as a threat or a distraction to the American financial system. But now, the presidential administration itself is educating folks on Bitcoin's long-term value. And get this, with clearer guidelines on other altcoins, it's suspected that the US government is holding some of those too. They're even building a digital asset stockpile. Rumor has it they might have around 50,000 ETH in there. Like, seriously. David Sachs said.
We don't know exactly what digital assets the federal government has. I've seen reports that it might have, for example, 50,000 ETH, which is Ethereum. But again, we need to get to the bottom of that. When we figure out exactly what the assets are, we're going to move them into the digital stockpile. The purpose of the stockpile is responsible stewardship. It's a place for safekeeping. It's a centralized, you could say, account under the direction of the Secretary of the Treasury. And the Secretary of the Treasury will figure out how to maximize the values of these holdings.
Beyond ETH, the government might also hold some BNB, Tron, Uniswap, Chainlink, and even Sandbox. When they figure out what they own, they'll keep M long term. Now, why is Bitcoin crashing today? Short term, it's all about the trade war.
The most insane trade war has officially begun because Canada, Mexico, and China are pissed and have now all announced their own plans on how to retaliate against Trump's tariff.
Moves and liquidity controls. This is slowing down commerce and growth right now. There's a killer under. 2. Minute explainer on tariffs and the trade war if you need to brush up, but check this out.
But here's where things get interesting, because instead of just doing what Trump wants, Canada has clapped back with a 25% tariff of their own, and Mexico said they're doing the same but haven't announced the percentage yet. China reacted a little differently by preparing to file a lawsuit with the World Trade Organization. So why is Trump not backing down? Just listen to this. In 2023, Canada sent 76% of all of their exports to the United States. That accounts for roughly 19% of their entire GDP. In 2024, Mexico sent 78% of all of their exports to the United States. That makes up 37% of their entire GDP. But for America, their exports to both countries combined only make up roughly 2.7% of their entire GDP. So simply put, even if they do retaliate, getting into a tariff war with the United States would hit Canada and Mexico much harder. Trump knows this, and he's using it.
So yeah, expect some short-term pain, but when the Fed cuts rates, next meet is March 18th, just a few weeks out, things are set to bounce back. Looking at Bitcoin price action, this recent dip still forms a higher low, which means the uptrend's intact. We pumped so fast that a dump like this isn't shocking. We're eyeing support around the 72 to 73k mark, and even if Bitcoin falls to 67k, it's still in a bull market setup, at least in my book. Now, if a slowing economy throws everything into a recession, who knows, but for now, this dip reminds us of past cycles. How many of you sold off in these dips in 2016 or 2017 only to see massive gains later? Not many, right? To wrap it up, this chart right here gives you some perspective. Even with today's dip, we're still in the Bitcoin halving cycle. Bitcoin's been through wild swings before, and yet it keeps on trucking. Anything's possible, and I don't claim to see the future. But remember, every day's a new chance on this crypto roller coaster, so stay tuned, stay informed, and see you tomorrow.